Hello, everybody. Today, Carrie and I are going to be doing dark reads that are coming out in December. This will end up being a podcast episode as well, so you'll be able to listen to that on your favorite listening app. We're waiting for our Amazon live audience to pop in, so give us a few seconds. But now you get to see what we do on the regular. All right, I think we're live on Amazon, aren't we?
You know, we normally record podcasts in our pajamas with no makeup on. No. So I'm like, what's happening?
Whoa. I know. It's a little weird. So for those of you guys that are on YouTube, we're going to be, you might see this again, but uploaded as an actual video. So sorry for the repetition, but more books, more things. All right. So the first thing in our carousel is actually our Logitech mics that we use to stream all the time and live stream and record our podcast. And Carrie, I want to know, I don't think I've actually seen this mug. I really am curious about it.
I'm drinking lots of tea, so I put this in my carousel. This is a live shopping show. Welcome to our viewer over at Dark Side of the Net on Facebook. I am drinking crazy amounts of English breakfast tea today out of my bookshelf library mug, and it matches Katie's backdrop.
It does. I was like, I kept thinking, is that my backdrop with like a handle? You know,
I need a dark, creepy castle backdrop mug for my backdrop.
Oh, yeah, that would be amazing. All right.
So we are going to chat about 14 books that are coming out in November 2022 that we think you might enjoy reading. And we haven't read any of them. We don't get advanced copies. We're not at that level of book blogging. So mostly we're just curating some tempting finds for you. Let's take a look at the first one, which I am talking about.
Woohoo!
It's Aliens. It's in the Aliens universe. It's they're adding to the canon behind Vasquez. Remember the badass chick that was amazing with a gun? Well, this is an original novel by V. Castro. And Vasquez, apparently, I always thought she was kind of a butch lesbian, but apparently she has a set of twins.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah. So her twins are Letitia and Ramon. So we joined Vasquez long before the doomed mission to Hadley's Hope. She was born to an immigrant family with a long military tradition. She ended up in a street gang and then prison. So her path out of prison was the Colonial Marines. But joining the Marines made her have to give up her twin children. So her sister raises the children and they have to discover their own ways to survive. So Letitia follows her mother's path into the military, and Ramon goes into the evil corporation Weyland-Yutani. Their paths converge on an unnamed planet. You know what happens with unnamed planets in alien movies. So they show up at the planet. Some people see it as a utopia. Others want to use it for secretive research. And regardless of whatever the humans might have planned for it, the xenomorphs, of course, will show up and turn it into a living hell. So I thought the book was going to be completely about Vasquez, the character, but it's apparently about her children, whose last name is Vasquez. So that's Aliens Vasquez. It is in our carousel. Click to learn more about it. It comes out November 8th. The audiobook is free if you get an Audible trial. The hardcover is $24.95 and the Kindle version is $12.99. Cool. Katie, I'm going to move the slide to your next book, but I got to move you over so that you can talk about your book.
Okay, no problem. I know we're rotating our screen. It's wild over here. I know. Okay, so this book, The Cloisters, by Katie Hayes, is supposed to be I guess like a really awesome gothic thriller with lots of weird paranormal stuff going on in here. So the main character is Anne Stillwell, and she arrives in New York City, and she wants to spend the time, her whole summer, working as a curator for the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Who wouldn't? That's my dream. That would be amazing. But this is even better, actually. She instead finds herself assigned to a place called the Cloisters. It's a Gothic museum. And it has a bunch of researchers that are studying there. And it has a thorough exploration and history of divination also in the cloisters. So I can't think of a cooler place, to be honest. So desperate to escape her painful past, Anne is happy to indulge the researchers' more outlandish theories about the history of fortune telling. But what begins as an academic curiosity quickly turns into obsession when Anne discovers a hidden 15th century deck of tarot cards that might hold the key to predicting the future.
I'm getting very excited right now.
Yeah, so that's already that's exactly what we want tarot cards for. I think a lot of us do. We're like, please tell us what our future is. So this is perfect. This becomes a game of power, seduction, and ambition at the cloisters, and it turns deadly, of course, because that's what books do. So this becomes a race for answers, and the line between arcane and the modern ends up blurring together. So it's a magical blend of different genres. It's haunting, it's a thriller, it's a gripping debut novel. So check it out. This is The Cloisters. This is by Katie Hayes. Should be good.
It looks really good.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to switch us over to talk about my next book, which is Even Though I Knew the End. So it's by C.L. Polk. Comes out November 8th. Tor.com is the publisher. A magical detective dives into the affairs of Chicago's divine monsters to secure a future with the love of her life, who happens to be a woman. We need more queer horror reads for sure. It's a period piece. So this woman sold her soul to save her brother's life, and she's offered one last job before she's going to go serve in. She turns the job down.
Oh my goodness.
So her client sweetens the pot by offering up the one payment she can't resist, the chance to have a future with a woman she loves. Okay. So she's given 3 days to track down the White City Vampire. That's Chicago's most notorious serial killer. Now, they say track down, not like kill or stop, or so I don't know what's happening. If she fails, only hell and heartbreak await. I think I want to check it out. I haven't read a lot of queer horror. Even Though I Knew the End is by C.L. Polk.
All right. So just to let you guys know, especially the ones on Amazon, I am noticing that a lot of these books that we are mentioning today are on sale. I'm wondering if it's just, it's like spooky reading season. I know Halloween's over, but it's still quite spooky and dark and, So a lot of these are on sale today. Like the one that Carrie just did is almost 50% off right now.
But it's hard for us to tell on the app if that's the hardcover, the paperback, or the Kindle that's on sale, because the app is basically, we're squinting at this little tiny screen here, like, ah.
Yeah. So the next book I want to talk about, I'm pretty excited about it. It seems like a lot's going on, but it's definitely wintry. So you can tell with the cover here, The Hollows. This is by Daniel Church. This comes out November 8th. It is folk horror meets ancient gods.
You're so happy.
I know. And it's set in a remote town, of course, and it's all snowy and oh, I forgot. Several murders are taking place in this town. So it's got almost
How could you forget murders?
No. So it encompasses almost everything. So the constable, Ellie Cheatham, finds a body, and it ends up being a man who allegedly dies in a car crash and freezes to death in the snow. So, but the thing that happens is the constable realizes that the facts aren't actually adding up to be just that. It's not just a car crash that she's seeing. So apparently the dead man is clutching a knife in his hand. There's also evidence, and I'm still not sure how this works. This is another reason why I want to read this book. So apparently there's evidence that he was hiding from somebody, and somebody was actually watching him die. So I'm like, how do you figure that out in that, as a police person? So another strange thing about this whole incident is that there's an odd mark that was drawn on a stone beside his body. Now I think
I
we
want
all
to
know
know
where
what
this
the
is
mark looks like. Like, I wish this was illustrated. I'm so curious.
Yeah, it's probably like a really, like a creepy demonic thing.
What
Anyway,
if it's a
so
rune? Ooh.
that would be cool. So there's more victims that end up, or there's more people falling victim to this mysterious thing that happens, and Ellie, the constable, realizes that there's a lot more that she doesn't, a lot more that she's not really sure about, and clearly this might actually be something outlandish, not necessarily a person. So the killer is using the snow and the darkness as cover to commit these crimes, and the town being a small town in a snowy place, in a snowy mountain town, the power is actually starting to go out, so it's starting to look more and more dangerous. So it's kind of like a race against this evil ancient entity, and I'm really excited about it. So this is called The Hollows. It is by Daniel Church. I am going to pick this up. I am very excited about it. I think it sounds cool. Oh, Carrie, you're muted. I'm unmuting you. Oh,
pardon me. I jumped the gun because I got so excited and I put the wrong book on the screen while you were still talking. Sorry, we're just figuring out this technology. Woo! And now I jumped way ahead. Okay. I have to put both of us here, move me, and then I can be the one talking about this book, Pulling the Wings Off Angels. I don't mean to sound so cheerful. That's a terrible concept. It comes out November 15. It's by KJ Parker. It's supposedly a madcap adventure. Okay, so there's a legend that long ago, a wealthy man stole an angel and hid her in a chapel, and she remains imprisoned there to this very day. So there's a clerical student who's racked up gambling debts, naughty, but they owe them to a local gangster, and the gangster gives them an ultimatum. Deliver the angel that your grandfather kidnapped, or forfeit various body parts in payment. I hope they don't mean anything, below the belt. And so begins a whirlwind theological paradox with the student at its center, and the stakes are the necessity of God, the existence of destiny, and the nature of angels. So I have no idea what this book is about, but it is by Tor.com, so it's a good publisher. It's probably a pretty dark book. It is a science fiction fantasy novel. I'm going to have to read a little preview of it before I decide if I'm going to purchase it. So hopefully you can send a preview to your Kindle in the next week or so. That is Pulling the Wings Off Angels by KJ Parker.
All right. If you're looking for a dystopic novel, this one is that. And it's actually a Korean novel as well. I'm really into Korean horror. It's kind of one of my favorite things. And Korean novels as well are really fun. So this is called Saha. This is by Cho Nam-ju. And some people have said that it's similar to like Squid Game. So if you're really into that, this might be up your alley. There's also this Tom Hiddleston movie, which I should have researched before we live streamed, but it's called The Tower or like The Apartment or something. And the further down the apartment, like the poorer you are. Anyway, I'm getting a lot of those vibes. So there's a country called Town. Yes, the country is literally called Town. And there's a doctor named Sue, and he or she is found dead. There's only one place that the police intend to look for her suspected killer. It is called the Saha Estates. The Saha Estates are notorious for it's basically a place it has no plumbing, no electricity. It's pretty bad. Like really the only benefit is that it has shelter.
Oh, so are there a bunch of homeless people living there, or what's going on?
It's kind of like that. There's a lot of it's basically like squatting. And everybody's living in this apartment complex. It's basically kind of a bleak haven, which is interesting for those who are trying to escape even worse things outside of the apartment. So that should give you kind of like the mindset of where this world building is. So no one is shocked when a lowlife like Do Kyung becomes the main suspect in the victim's murder. So, and the victim is called a citizen. So I'm assuming that the person, the lowlife, is technically not a citizen. Anyway, so Doe actually ends up disappearing, and his sister is trying to find her brother at this point, even though he's a suspect in this murder case. So this ends up being kind of like an exploration through this dystopic world, trying to find somebody that isn't necessarily, I guess, important in the world. And there's a lot of dark secrets, like who this secretive organization is that is basically making the town, which is the safest, richest nation in the world. Why is it the safest and richest nation in the world? So it unravels a lot of other stuff going on. Of course, higher ups, rich people are taking advantage of other people. So I'm excited.
As they do in the real world. This is barely fiction.
So, right. So this, again, this is a dystopian novel. I'm interested in it. I probably definitely simplified it quite a bit because there is a lot going on, but it looks and sounds intriguing. And a lot of people have been talking about it. Even the Times has said it's one of the most anticipated books of fall of 2022. So definitely worth the read. It's Saha. This is by Cho Nam-ju.
All right. My next book is a mystery. I'll find it. Shinjuku. There it is. Okay. Excuse me. We're just ironing out the kinks on this new way of doing our little shows. Okay. Shinjuku is the second edition. It is by Dark Horse Books, but it's not a graphic novel or a comic. It's an illustrated novel. And it is about a former Special Forces soldier. Help! That's a tongue twister.
That is. Wow.
An elite scout bounty hunter, Daniel Legend. And he's leaving the mean streets of LA and instead going to the meaner streets of Shinjuku. So he's looking for his missing sister, Angela. Oh. He discovers the unreal city, Shinjuku, the nexus of realities riddled with underground pathways. It's a realm where low-life crooks and subterranean monsters spill blood alike in the shadows. There's 3 rival Yakuza leaders, and they hold control over every earthly crime. And one mobster lord named Shi, S-H-I, or Shai, Shi, I think it's Shi, just isn't happy with everything and wants even more. Nothing can satisfy him. He plans an unholy scheme to seize control over all existence, greedy. And the book covers mysticism and the visionary quantum research that was the legacy of Daniel and Angela's father. So the author is film and video director Christopher Mink Morrison, a veteran of Quentin Tarantino and Lawrence Bender's A Band Apart. So it's an urban action horror book illustrated with a few illustrations by Yoshitaka Amano, who's known for Final Fantasy and Vampire Hunter D illustrations. So that's Shinjuku. The second edition comes out November 8.
Cool. My next book is, if you like short stories, if you're looking for something, sometimes short stories are really nice just because we all don't have time to sit with like a big chunky novel. So I like short stories, especially during winter and fall time when the holidays are coming. It's a good break in between some of the joy. I'm sorry, that sounds terrible. So this is A Sliver of Darkness by CJ Tudor. She did The Chalk Man. She is, some people have said, at least this is in the publisher notes, Britain's female Stephen King. Interesting. So it's a compilation of different short stories. Here's some examples. We have The Lion at the Gate, which is about a strange piece of graffiti leads to a terrifying encounter for 4 school friends. That's a theme. All right. We also have The Final Course, which is about the world descending into darkness, but a group of old friends make time for one last dinner. I like that they try their best. I know. They're like, well, the world's going to end. Let's just have dinner together.
I feel like we would do that with our friends. Like, hey.
I think that would be cool.
We could have as many calories and much alcohol as we wanted.
You would want it. I would want it. That's how I would be doing that. We also have a book or a story called I'm Not Ted. A case of mistaken identity has unforeseen fatal consequences. I also see things about time slips, doomsday scenarios, and killer butterflies.
Since when do butterflies?
I don't know.
Well, that's creative.
Yes. Hi, Darren. Nice to see you. We're doing a bunch of adult fiction that's coming out in November. So if you are an avid reader, keep these books in mind because there are quite a few cool ones. So this one is pretty original, really interesting. And this is our only anthology book that we have on our list for this month. So I'm excited. It's called A Sliver of Darkness by C.J. Tudor.
I am beyond excited for my next book, The Spirit Phone. Get ready. This is a big one. Whew. Absolutely, says Darren. This is by Arthur Shattuck O'Keefe. It comes out November 15 from BHC Press. It features 3 very interesting people from history: Aleister Crowley, Nikola Tesla, and, of course, Thomas Edison.
Oh my goodness.
So Thomas Edison has a new invention, a phone to communicate with the dead. It's August 1899. He announces the Spirit Phone model SP1. At nearly the same time, Aleister Crowley, who's a young mage, inexplicably teleports into the home of Edison's arch rival, the renowned inventor Nikola Tesla. They notice that the Spirit Phone users seem to start suffering from insanity and commit suicide often. So Crowley and Tesla combine their respective skills in magic and technology to investigate the device's actual origin and its ultimate purpose. So this book has astral travel, demonic invocations, my favorite, and they threw in some steampunk imagery with high-speed airship journeys. There's a desperate race to stop the Spirit Phone's use by an unknown adversary who wants to inaugurate a hell on earth from which none shall escape. It does not get more dramatic than that. I am going to check it out. The hardcover is $28. The Kindle version is $8, so I'm going to be buying it on Kindle, but you could also get it in paperback for $16.95. That is The Spirit Phone.
Oh my God. Wow. All right. This next book is more of it's like family curses or family drama mostly. It's not really crazy supernatural or anything, but it is, if you are a literary person or a writer, anything like that, this might be of interest to you. It's The Stolen Book of Evelyn Aubry. It is by Serena Burdick, and it came out November 1st. So we have 2 different timelines. We have England from 1898. So this is where we meet Evelyn. She marries a famous novelist named William Aubry, and at first they're madly in love, and she is just absolutely, drawn to his brilliance. He's a great writer, etc. But one day he gets writer's block, and guess what he does? He does the worst possible thing he could possibly do. Evelyn has been writing stories as well on the side, and because he's got writer's block, he's like, I'm going to steal my wife's work and publish it as my own. So, of course, that's terrible. Evelyn decides to try to write her way out of an unhappy marriage, but geez, what a jerk. So then we go into the future, another timeline, California 2006. We begin with Abigail, who's wondered about her father because his identity was forever lost when her mother passed away. But, of course, she stumbles on a photo and a message, and the message basically says that her grandmother, is Evelyn Aubry. So this stops being about her finding her father, it seems like. And so Abigail goes and journeys over to England to go find, more information about her awesome grandmother, who is apparently this amazing writer. So there's a bunch of other things that are going on here, including a secret society, potential murder, all kinds of stuff. So it's a little bit of a thriller, more literary, but it sounds kind of fun, and it does have a little time skipping. But if that's your thing, that's awesome. I sometimes like time skipping. It depends. Like sometimes it's a hit or miss for me. I get confused. So it's called The Stolen Book of Evelyn Aubry. It is by Serena Burdick.
My next book is, I forgot to put myself on screen. Hey! Strega, a novel. Now we know that Strega means witch. This is by Johan Lieke Holm. It's been translated by Saskia Vogel. It's a modern Gothic story that's atmospheric about 9 young women sent to work at a remote alpine hotel and what happens when one of them goes missing. This could be the perfect dark winter's day read, whether it's snowing or raining or just gloomy. So a 19-year-old girl named Rafa leaves her parents' home with just some toiletries, a few hairbands, and notebooks in her bag. She rides a train towards the Olympic Hotel, which is waiting for her perched above the small village of Strega. There's lit up mountains, there's trees, very atmospheric. She and 8 other girls receive stiff black uniforms, become seasonal workers at the hotel, and they live in a shared dorm room. They're working really hard to perform their role and make their strict matronly bosses happy, but there's no clear purpose because there aren't any hotel guests yet. Weird. So instead, after their work, they daily go to the herb garden, confide in each other, they're finding solace, they're getting to know each other and bonding. And then one night, the hotel is filled with people for a wild, raucous party. And then one of the girls disappears. Yes. So this book is about the myths that we teach young women, what we raise them to expect from the world, and whether a gentler, more beautiful life is possible. I like to think that it is. Aww. That is Strega, a novel.
All right. My next book is called Tread of Angels. And this one's interesting. It's a dark fantasy, but it is a little biblical, and we have some interesting categories here. So we have these people or a society of pariahs known as the Fallen, and then we also have an element that is actually being mined by this town in Colorado, and that is called divinity. I'm wondering if it's actual. If like divinity became an actual, thing you could dig up, which would be cool. So there's a lot of different things going on here. I like that we have this very heavy Goetia theme, but set in an American colonial time. It's interesting because I've never seen that done before.
That is interesting. Yeah.
So it's let me see if I can summarize this. I mean, I've kind of summarized a little bit about it, but it's about a mining town in 1883. And we have prospectors from near and far. I mean, it's almost like gold rushy kind of times, but it's a little different because we're mining for actual divinity. So this whole the mining town is attracting pariahs, and they're called the Fallen. The Fallen are actually also not just pariahs, but they are descendants of demon kind, living amongst other things.
I'm guessing they're really fun at parties.
You would hope so. Hopefully they're not the pretentious kind, like I am, lawful evil instead of chaotic evil. Anyway, they live among another segment of the world called the Virtues. I'm assuming they might be like the angels. So what it says here is that the Virtues are actually the winners of an ancient war, with the descendants of both of the sides choosing to live alongside Abaddon's mountain in this tale of the mythological West. So there's like all of these angel demon things going on in the small mining town in Colorado. So check this out if this is up your alley. It sounds interesting. I mean, it does. It's just weird, I guess. It's called Tread of Angels. This is Rebecca Roanhorse.
I'm not sure what to think of my next book, The Two Doctors Gorski. It's by Isaac Fellman. Comes out November 22 from Tor.com. It's a contemporary fantasy. It stars Anna, a brilliant graduate student in psychiatric magic. And she's a survivor of academic abuse. And she can't stop reading people's minds. But this is how she protects herself, by using her abilities to know exactly how her colleagues view her, and how she escapes the torturous experience of her own existence. That's a little bit dramatic. So Anna moves to England to rebuild her life after whatever academic abuse happened. and she's going to finish her studies under the magician Marek Gorski, infamous because he brought a homunculus to life made from his unwanted better self. She sees inside his head, because she can read his thoughts, a man who's a destructive force to everyone around him. We all know people like that. But she also sees her mirror image. For her to survive, she'll have to break free of a lifetime of conditioning to embody her own self and forge her own path. I can't say that this book calls to me too much from this poorly written description, but I like books about people that can read people's minds. And it's only 176 pages, so it's a short read, so I might check it out.
Yeah.
That's Two Doctors Gorski by Isaac Fellman.
All right, my final book, or the final book of today, is speaking of reading minds. This one's a little it's not quite reading minds, but it's an interesting play on that. It's called The Wilder Women. This is by Ruth Emmy Lang. So we have a mother who passed away, or she disappeared. Sorry, she didn't pass away. Her name is Nora Wilder. She had 2 daughters, the oldest being Zadie. And Zadie should have seen it coming because she actually can see things coming. She has psychic abilities. So she thinks that she would have been able to prevent her mother from vanishing one morning. So Zadie has an estranged sister named Finn. Finn cannot see into the future, but one thing that's cool about Finn, and this is just like so fun, is that Finn she has a really good memory, like a really good one, but not just for her own memories. She can see like echoes of memories that other people have left behind.
Wow, like, that could be either cool or horrible.
Oh my God. Can you imagine like walking into a mall with that power? Just residual memories everywhere. That would just be...
Block it out. Block
I know.
out.
You need some serious boundaries. She's basically like if an empath, like a superpower empath. So Finn is seized by an echo that's very powerful, and it's probably powerful because it resonates with her very deeply. It's a song. It's a woman singing about a bird. And Finn wakes up alone in an aviary with no idea of how she got there. And she realizes that that memory, that echo that she heard was actually her mother's, Nora's. So Finn ends up trying to convince her sister, Zadie, that they should go find their mother because she must be alive. That's how the echoes work. So eventually, because of how many, I would imagine Finn would have lost her mind earlier, but apparently just like the echoes from her mom become over consuming, and she ends up almost slipping into a state where she can't come out of it. Like she's so immersed in the echo of her mom. So it actually ends up becoming Zadie who takes she takes the helm. And now they're both trying to figure out, or Zadie is trying to find their mom, and also seeing if she can save her sister, her mom, everybody, or, just leaving it alone because it seems like a really dangerous mission. But it's interesting. The Wilder Women sounds really fun, different. I haven't heard, there are some stories where you've got like memory echoes and stuff like that, but this one sounds kind of fun. So check this out if that is seems interesting to you. This is The Wilder Women. This is by Ruth Emmy Lang.
And do I have one more? Nope, that is it for me, I believe. Let me check. Don't want to forget anything good. Oh, that is it. All right. Thank you for joining us here at Dark Side of the Library on Amazon Live, Facebook. We popped into Dark Side of the Net, my nearly 30-year-old website, which I don't maintain anymore because my life is crazy. Stay tuned this autumn and winter. Katie and I are going to be talking about dark books, horror toys, dark dollies. We're not going to talk about Halloween as much anymore. I'm going to be reading Grimm's fairy tales at night occasionally here on Amazon Live. I might broadcast that to Facebook for the heck of it, and YouTube. Why not?
Yeah.
And Grimm's tales are not in copyright, so I can read them anytime I want. And maybe we'll be coming up with some interesting book clubby type things this winter when we get a little bit more time now that Halloween is over. And Katie, what's next for the podcast?
Oh, yes. Sorry. So we tend to curate a lot of books throughout each month. So adult fiction is what you got to see today, but we'll have nonfiction, which is actually quite hefty this month. We do have kids books, and of course we have our YA section, which kids books and YA are my favorite to read about, just because sometimes they're wild. I love them. But we also do mini-sodes sometimes. If you want to learn about a book in particular, you can find us over on our podcast, on our YouTube channel as well, and we'll go over all kinds of cool books. So if you are an avid reader, again, make sure to stay tuned and listen on your favorite listening app, or here on YouTube or on Amazon Live. So that is what's new this month, this thing. Yes.
Be sure to click the follow button so you get notified when we go live here on Amazon Live, and you're probably already subscribing to us on YouTube and Facebook, so you don't have to do anything. Thanks so much. We'll see you in the next video.